All right, guys, I just want to welcome back to the Gridiron Gurus podcast. Today, I'll be dishing out an early April 7-round mock draft for the Cleveland Browns. This is a team with two first-round selections, the number 6 overall that's theirs, and then they acquired the number 24th overall pick in last year's draft, that trade they had with the Jaguars. I think it's a very simple game plan here for the Browns in this first round. Some combination of tackle and wide receiver. They could even go 2 offensive linemen. I think that'd make a lot of sense for them as well. This is a team that has a lot of turnover up front in this offensive line. They don't have a whole lot of promising talent at this moment in time. It's kind of a makeshift group. They went and picked up 3 free agents: Zion Johnson, Elton Jenkins, and Titus Howard. The guy that's probably going to be coaching up Francis Mauigoa, because I think he'll be a great selection for the Browns if he's available at number 6. This is a guy who reminds me of Penei Sewell coming out of Oregon. Everyone knew he was going to be a blue chip prospect. He was going to play for a long time at a very high level, and that's exactly what he's done for the Lions. But obviously, being a right tackle, it's not the most pressing need, and it's not the most ideal selection to make early on in a draft, so that causes these guys to slide. If he was a left tackle, he'd probably be the top pick. This is a great player, elite size, 6'6", 335, great anchor, love the strength, mauler in the run game, pretty explosive mover, can definitely find more consistency of his technique. Sometimes he can struggle with some slow feet versus speed rushers, and I think he has the capability of playing guard if they asked him to do so, but he's never did that in his career. So those are some notes on him. This guy's going to play 10 plus years. He's going to be a great player for a long time. And for the Browns, whose offense is just really struggling, really for the last 20 years, right, to kind of take lift off. It's a lot of young guys on this group. Young quarterback room, young running backs as well, and then an offensive line that's going to continue to see a lot of turnover to get to where Andrew Berry and this group wants it to be. And Mauigoa is a great thorn in your arm to have to start things off in this draft. So if he falls at number 6, it's going to make a lot of sense for them, and that allows them to take a wide receiver, filling another massive need in the back half of the first round. Casey Concepcion. This is a guy who's pretty explosive in space, 5'11", 190, great speed, pretty elusive runner, excels after the catch. He can be used in a variety of different alignments. He's a sudden / crafty route runner, does pretty well attacking the open voids in zone. His focus is inconsistent. He's excited to take off and run the ball before securing. Maybe consider him undersized, but he's a player who's going to line up in the slot primarily. Doesn't have a lot of wingspan, so in terms of contested catchability, doesn't really have a whole lot of that. But this is a team that needs more explosiveness in its receiving group. The pass game has been the biggest problem for the Browns, and with young quarterbacks Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, even when Deshaun Watson's been healthy, he's not played very good. Regardless of who's at quarterback, they need more help at pass catcher. Jerry Jeudy's been pretty solid for a couple of seasons. Other than that, though, there's nothing you're really too excited about, other than Harold Fannin at tight end, of course, who had a phenomenal rookie season. And I thought Cedric Tillman at times has provided some quality play. They just need to continue to beef up this receiving group, though. Casey Concepcion, I think, would make a lot of sense in that realm, because he's not just a wide receiver. He's going to be a guy that can do a lot for you in terms of just overall explosiveness and big plays waiting to happen, and that's what they need right now. They don't have a whole lot of that at all in this receiving group. Moves to the second round. I see them adding another receiver in Denzel Boston. If he's available, they should go ahead and pull the trigger, right? And I don't think this would be something that fans are mad at, because when you look at this roster, it's pretty clear the needs right now, right? To find yourself the future at the offensive line, and then wide receivers just in general, right? So if they can draft 3 or 4 of them in this draft, I don't see why not, because they need to significantly focus on this positional group, and that's why I see them drafting back-to-back pass catchers. Boston, on the other hand, compared to Concepcion, is a contested catch artist. 6'4", 210, great body control and focus, very efficient with his double moves and his quickness. He can play out of the slot, definitely strikes fear into those nickel corners with his size. Really good route runner. I love watching this guy for the last couple of seasons at Washington. He's been a very underrated player. Obviously not on that of scouts. They know who he is. This is a very good player. In the short area, really excels as well. Certainly doesn't have that twitch / explosiveness off the line of scrimmage compared to a Concepcion. Can struggle versus press. Not the most creative of his release. And then, of course, the route tree needs some refinement. Negatives of every player. Nothing that's going to want to, make his draft stock fall to being outside the top 50 selections, I don't believe. And I do think that it's possible he's off the board before pick 39. But if he's there, the Browns need to go ahead and pull the trigger and make it happen. They don't have another pick until late in that third round. It's about 70th overall. I guess that's not late, right? There's about 100 picks in those first 3 rounds. About 70 overall, Caleb Tiernan, another offensive lineman, was an elite pass protector at Northwestern, has some really impressive movement. Good footwork, strong hands, really handles speed rushers well, some great versatility. I think this is a guy that can line up on the interior also, and considering his arm length is kind of a negative, and he's not exactly a mauler in the run game, maybe they want to move him inside the guard. His lateral movement is definitely questionable. He can have some stiff movements in that realm, but I think this is a guy that's fundamentally sound. He's going to come in and he's going to play with a lot of toughness. He's going to showcase a lot of football IQ, and I think he's going to have some nice acclimation to wherever the Browns want him to be. I don't know if they'll put him at tackle or if they will put him at guard, but I think that flexibility being available is definitely what's going to make him coveted. And I think these would be 2 more really good selections for the Browns. And I'd be very happy if I'm a Cleveland fan with these first 4 selections. 2 receivers, 2 offensive linemen, by far the biggest needs that we have being addressed early on in this draft with impact performers. It's kind of quiet the rest of this draft on day 3. You got about 5 selections here. Billy Schrafe, though, I think would be a good way to get things started. Another offensive lineman, a multi-year starter at guard for Notre Dame. A gap scheme mover, really fits into what Todd Monken's going to want to do when it comes to running the football. Really excels at getting vertical. He's a finisher in the run game. Shows nice pass block efficiency with some heavy hands. And, of course, he was a team captain for the Irish. So this is a guy who's going to be a leader at 6'4", 310. Plenty of experience under his belt. He can help set the tone for this offensive line. I think he'll primarily stick to the interior. He's not going to have that same versatility as maybe some of these other guys, but that's all right. This is a guy that's going to be a pure guard. Durability's been a bit of an issue for him. The lateral agility as well. He can be inconsistent in pass protection when it comes to lunging or bending at the waist. So we'll see, right? But I think Billy Schrafe is a guy that if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a good contributor in the National Football League. I think it'd be a good way to get things started on round 4. Looking at round 5, Julian Neal at corner. Physical, inside or out. He's capable in man coverage. Has good burst, nice long speed as well. Nice lower body explosion. He has a desire to wrap up in the run game and play hard in that realm. Struggles when it comes to change of direction, consistency, and overall IQ in zone coverage. I imagine they're probably going to look to play a lot man coverage, especially with the pass rush they have of Myles Garrett at the charge. That allows you to do that a lot more. And, this is a team I think is going to continue to focus on man coverage corners. And that makes a lot of sense, right? With Julian Neal being able to come in here and give them some depth. Denzel Ward, Tyson Campbell, some pretty darn good corners already as the starters. They just need to figure things out behind them for when they have, maybe some injury problems or when they have to rotate guys in and out. So I think Julian Neal, corner's not the biggest need in the world, but I do think they want to address those twos. Caden Curry at defensive end, also coming home a few picks later, staying in the state of Ohio from the Buckeyes. Solid rip move, nice bend off the edge, pretty good agility, matched with some solid burst. Plays with hustle. He can also drop into coverage. Just overall a good football player and a little bit of everything. Now, he does lack strength and violence. It's going to make it hard to anchor against the run. Limited length as well. Needs to improve his hand usage. I wonder what the upside really is for Caden Curry, but considering, he played for the Ohio State Buckeyes, this is a player that comes from a very good program, can get put into this defensive group led by Myles Garrett. All those guys seem to really benefit from the wealth of skill and knowledge he's able to give to the rest of the group. So, I think defensive end, it's not the biggest need in the world because I think they're happy with guys like Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire. But I think a little more depth could not hurt by any means because they don't exactly have another star. Maybe Wright can step up after a pretty good season in 2025. And we'll see what happens, right? I think Caden Curry is a guy with a lot of upside. Probably not going to be the biggest impact player in the world, but someone that can gradually get better year after year, especially if he spends a lot of time in the weight room and they keep refining some of that quickness and some of that technique. In the final 2 rounds here, they continue to address the secondary. Jaden Cannady played at a handful of different schools in his college career. Over 1,000 snaps in the slot in his career. Was always a consistent coverage asset. Some pretty good strength. I like the ability to trigger and be a hammer in the run game. That's really where he's at his best. Isn't reckless in coverage either. Showcases some nice, good patience when playing safety. So I think this is a player that could definitely help them out. Safety group, I think, needs some attention. And then at slot corner, they could definitely look for a future starter there as well. And maybe Jaden can work his way into that being his role at some point. And then Jalen Husky is safety. This is a guy who's a ball hawk, really good ability to track it in the air, strong hands, good angles in pursuit, proven to be a reliable tackler in space. Lacks the speed to cover vertically, though. Doesn't have great burst or change of directions. Not the most athletic player in the world, but at the end of the day, he's a football player who just has a knack for finding the ball, and that can be coveted. So I think Husky, this is a guy that could potentially even get involved, maybe on special teams with his motor and his ability to get downfield. So I see them picking up a few more guys in the secondary in day 3 that could carve out some type of role. I think for the Browns, are you really focusing on what they can do with those first 4 selections? That's really going to set the tone for this football team in their future. And if they copy and paste this to a T, I'd be very happy if I were the Browns. That's it for this episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.